All right, let's go to strategy number 4. So the who versus how, when I say that, the coach, Matt introduced me to strategic coach. I'm doing strategic coach. And so they have a concept called who versus how, meaning sometimes it's like, how am I going to do it? But sometimes that's not the right question. It's who's going to help me do it. So think about flipping. There's a lot of hats in flipping, right? You got to raise money, or you got to have money. You got to know how to do the contracting. You got to know how to analyze the properties. You've got to know how to put it all together. Are you the one that can do all that? That's the how. How am I going to do it? Or do you need to leverage and have another who to your how? As a C, if I understand the C correctly, because I'm a high C, it's not my natural thing to delegate. I'm more like, I just take it. I'll figure it out. I can do it. Take me 5 minutes.
Always do it right.
Yeah. I don't know if I always do it right, but I think I might always do it right. Yeah. But one thing that's helped me flipping is from day one, I knew, I've done all these houses. It would take me a day and a half to change a toilet. I still don't know how to do it. Last night I changed a bulb in my Honda Pilot. I was out there for like 2 hours swearing. I got the headlight done, and seriously, it was like I had just conquered the world. I'm like, I did it. I changed the headlight. It took me 2 hours, but anyway. So, are you going to hire a general contractor, or are you going to sub it out? Right? These are things to think about: who versus how. And then don't shortchange these people, right? Like sometimes when you're getting permits and stuff like that, you have the tendency to kind of abuse and use them, and then that's going to be the first and last time they're going to help you out, right? So you do have to pay for the who, right? And you've got to make it worth their time. All right, number 2. So again, then the other one, are you going to do it yourself as general contractor? I've kind of followed the model of kind of 2 different ways. So I have like a 2-man crew, or a couple 2-man crews, and then like the general contractor model. I tend to go to the general contractor model when I know we're permitting, I know the scope of work's pretty high, and it goes back to the planning. We lay it all out ahead of time. This is exactly what's going in the house. This is what we're using for tile. And it's painful, but you gotta do it up front so that you're not figuring it out along the way, right? And then with the 2-man crew, you can kind of go a little bit with, they'll do all my stuff, but I'll bring in guys do the roof, the windows, the carpet, stuff like that. So they'll kind of roll with it and do a lot of the work themselves and be way more hands-on. But then my contractor, he just, in an ideal world, I check in with them once every 2 weeks and just make sure that we're, on track and everything's in place. But the plan was set from the get-go, and you designed that plan, right? So again, a little image for this is, where am I going, and am I doing it myself, or is someone else doing it for me? Okay, number 3. This is a big one. Permit or not. What if you don't? Are you okay with a red tag or delay? This maybe should go in the planning and strategy part, but who here that's flipped? Who here's been nailed with not having a permit? So did that end up slowing you down, or did it speed up the remodel?
Whoa.
Okay. So
what's the time value of money?
Well, if you could, wait 4 months and have the house sell for more, that's better, but you don't always know that.
That was a good question, Uncle Ben.
So how painful is it to get a permit? It's really not that hard. It's very, very easy. And it's way easier. It's way easier if you do it up front, day one, no drama. Because when you don't get a permit, and I'm not saying I get a permit every time, trust me. I've gotten red tagged a gazillion times, right? Like so many times. But what happens when you don't get a permit? When you don't get a permit and you're in a nicer neighborhood and you're doing like structural stuff, you're doing stuff that would require a permit, what are you doing every time you drive up to the house? You park on the corner, you're like, you're like kind of sneaking in the back, you're telling your guys to
cover up the windows, put the key box in the back.
That doesn't add to a lot of clarity and confidence, right? So permit, man, it's like, and then when you do get a permit, you announce it to everybody, right? Like, oh, it's permitted, it's permitted, So it's like you did something amazing, And so, anyway, That's a debate that's going to go on forever and forever and forever. Do you permit it or do you not? And the reason you don't is because you think it's going to be more expensive and more complicated, and it can be. But sometimes not getting it, like 3 months of waiting with hard money, that could be $6, $7, $10, $13,000.
If you're really good at apologizing,
you can be. So I've been there many times. And
you can get there like a week longer and a 10% penalty. I'm a general contractor and an attorney. I will almost always apologize. And
okay. I wish, and he may hear this at one point, but I really love the guy, and you guys may know him, or you go the Michael Burns route, where you want to fight the guy, right? And then I don't know how far you're going to get that way either. So if you can negotiate quickly out of with the inspector, I always just go, oh man, it's totally my fault. I totally screwed up. What do I need to do? And that usually gets you going back pretty quick, right? But don't fight it, right? Because you're wrong. You're wrong.
It's about the only time it helps to look like me instead of like a guy in construction.
There you go.
She's a super ID, by the way.
Yes, I am.
There you go.
But most of the time in anything construction or real estate, it's really hard to get people to listen to you as women. In that moment, I can give them a sad face and be like, oh, I'm really sorry, and they believe me.
Yeah.
They believe I had no idea what I was talking about.
So again, who for your how? We're on who versus how. She's your who. You get stuck with a permit, we're calling you, right? Okay, number 3 or 4. This one's big. Do you enjoy flipping, and are you okay with the unpredictable nature of how it's going to turn out? Daryl's shaking his head no. I know a lot of people that are like, I'm not a good flipper. I don't like it, right? So is it for you? I actually do love the randomness of flipping. I actually love the fact that I bought that house without a foundation and it needed one, I don't know. I love it. I love the chase. I love the hunt. And I do love seeing something go from absolute garbage to looking really nice. And so you got to be okay with it. This one's big too. This kind of goes with who versus how. What sells versus what you like. I hear it all the time. Well, I love this. It looks so great. It's like, no, it looks like garbage. It's what pull up the most expensive homes that sold. What do they have in them? That's what you do. It's okay to copy. Now put your little flair on it. And when you get into the higher end flips, someone that has an amazing style and design, they can pull off doing something different and unique. But if you're flipping in the first time homeowner neighborhood, you could go to Home Depot and just say, what if the last 10 people bought? Sell me that. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to reinvent the wheel when it comes to some of this stuff. Now, the complexity, again, goes up depending on the price range and who your end buyer is going to be. So you got to be careful with that, but don't find yourself. This is one example of this when we were, there was a stretch there where there were 3 of us that were flipping together, me, Matt, and Chris. And this happened all the time, and we finally just all kind of had a nervous breakdown, and we had a big meeting and a little bit of arguments and fights. But we have a house, right? You guys have been here before if you've had a partner. And let's say I went to the house the first day, and again, this goes back to like terrible planning, terrible strategy. And I'd be like, hey Tony, let's do this wall botany beige, let's do it.
Botany beige.
So then my partner Matt comes in and he goes, oh no, my wife just painted our house, we need to do it gray. And so Tony's going, what the crap, like who's my boss, who am I listening to? And then Chris comes in and he's like, oh no, you just got to do it white, right? The reality is white, gray, or beige would have worked for anybody. So it doesn't need to be what you like, it just needs to be what sells. So what sells is what you should like, right? Okay, so that's number 4.